Head.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. How are you folks doing?
Good, good. I've been out a few meetings, so I don't recognize some faces. Apologies if this isn't your first.
This is maybe my second, something like that.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys then. Where are you guys from? What's your interest?
I'm Xander. I'm in Seattle. I started a few weeks ago with Microsoft, working with Sertaj and Rita as a PM on the upstream team. So yeah, that's kind of my intro to Gatekeeper is through those folks.
Oh, welcome, Xander. Excited to work with you.
Hi, my name is Eric Hoffman. I work with VMware in the office of the CTO, and I'm working on policy languages, and I'm really interested in usage cases and enforcement. So I'm just kind of lurking. I talked to the people at Microsoft a couple of weeks ago, and they invited me to hang out here. So I'm just here to listen. Thank you.
Gotcha. Yeah, lurk away. Happy to meet you.
American Xander.
And I see Kermit. Hi, Kermit.
Hey, Kermit. Oh, Peter asked me to say that the recording of this meeting will go to YouTube. So.
Oh, fancy. Didn't know I'd be a YouTuber.
Yeah, we set up a new integration. So now it directly goes to YouTube instead of somebody asking me on the recording link.
Oh, were we putting these on YouTube before, or was it just I thought it was like a public link to some video.
Yeah, it just started. I think he added some of the old episodes. Let me see where it is. Oh, I put it on the agenda. There's like a recording link at the top now.
Nice. Recording link at the, oh, I see.
On the repository, there was recordings. Yeah, I see Kermit there, Xander, Max is there.
What? Oh, this is amazing. How do they? We all have our own. What do you call them? Like thumbnail.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And so the shorter ones.
Yeah,
Oh,
those
no.
are the ones
Okay.
that we canceled due to no agenda.
What's that last bit?
Those are the ones we canceled due to no agenda.
Mm.
And it looks like Rita is coming in a minute.
She is not coming, you said.
No, she's coming in a minute.
Oh, okay.
And Ernest won't be able to make it today.
Cool. But it looks like Ernest is teed up for doing the external data TLS stuff now. That's right, or is he still blocked?
Yeah, no, I think he's good. I think we need to cut a new version for cert controller, and also render the frameworks into gatekeeper. So I think those are
Right.
the steps. Yeah, and that should be like super quick. Max, I saw that Will left Google. Do you know if he's still going to be working on Gatekeeper?
Not 100% sure what his thing will be. Like certainly in the near term, he's taking a little break, but he'll be in grad school after that. So I don't know his level of interest or availability once, he gets exposed to its curriculum, research, and all that jazz. So yeah, I'll have to play it by ear, I guess. Do you have any concerns with that, or?
No, just for like the open PRs and then PR reviews, should we like tag him versus not?
Yeah. Does he have any that he's? Sorry, I'm just returning from being
Yeah,
out. Caught up. Does he have any that are still open that he authored, or?
I think he has one that is authored. Let me double check.
There is one that is actually blocking another PR.
2092.
2022. This is in Gatekeeper, right? Constraint
this is on
schema validation testing. And this is blocking something?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's another one. If you look at the bottom, update to OPA 041. So we could, we were just waiting for, thinking like Will's will be faster, right? So we get that merged first, but if not, then we should prioritize the other PR just to at least get 41 out.
Gotcha. If you don't mind, I could just take it over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if Will doesn't mind.
Hopefully he won't. I think he's on break, so
Oh,
I
is
don't
he? Okay.
bother him to. Yeah, he's between leaving work and going to school. He's gonna take a break.
Actually, speaking of that, I think just sort of a suggestion is like when folks are going out of office, it might make sense for us to let each other know on Slack, just so that we don't, expect the person to respond or anything. I think that might be helpful.
Is it sad that it's been 3 years and this is now just coming up?
I know, right? Well, it just means that we've done a good job, like not having people notice we're out of office.
Yes,
Maybe.
not notice that we're out of office.
I notice people are taking longer vacation now, which is maybe part of the reason.
Yeah, probably. I wonder how much of that is just COVID is hitting a point where people seem to be
Yeah.
more comfortable with they can take a vacation.
Yes.
Anyway, do we want to do agenda stuff? If anyone, by the way, has anything they want to add to the agenda, feel free.
Do we want to do a triage first? I think we haven't
Oh,
done
right.
it in a while.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm rusty.
Yeah, let me add that to the agenda actually.
Anyone wants to share their screen? Or drive actually. If not, I could do it unless someone wants to do it.
I think I did it last few
Time.
times.
Okay. Okay, yeah, let me do it. Then let me just clean up my windows. Sorry.
Hide all the secrets.
No, I got no secrets. What are you talking about?
Said like someone with no
Are they encrypted?
Base 64.
Base 64 encryption.
Anyway, are we still doing
I think we were doing least.
oldest? Oh, least commented, right?
Yep.
Is it? Can you guys see my screen okay?
Least recently updated.
Yeah,
I believe.
the bottom one. Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, got it. Cool. Shall we?
Oh, did we sort to least recently updated? In the, oh, you did. Sorry.
Yeah,
Somehow.
okay. Sorry, I thought maybe it was me. Okay. Oh, this is old. Really old.
We have, well, not load tests. We have performance tests now, I think.
Yeah, we don't have that. I think I created the draft PR, but we didn't merge it. I closed it because it was stale.
Mm.
And I think also this is questionable if how do we want to run this on the actions?
Yeah, load tests are usually pretty expensive.
I mean, this is usually like in Kubernetes, this is where we actually use like the Prow infrastructure for something like this.
Yeah, I mean, on our side, we have it in Azure DevOps because those run in like dedicated agents. But this is a little harder to do because it's shared runners.
Mm-hmm. Look, this is what I was thinking back then. Test infra. So we could still do something similar.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some way to do it.
Yeah. Anything we want to comment, or otherwise it's just gonna sit there, I guess.
I mean, do we still want these? We have performance tests, which give you a lot of the picture of if we've made things better or worse, at least.
You mean the benchmarks, Max?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's just that we don't run them periodically.
Those run in every unit tests, but we don't compare them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So if it regressed, we wouldn't know it unless somebody like manually looked it up. Yeah.
So maybe update this to just run performance tests periodically then.
I think it would be like a comparison, like the delta between the lost, say the tagged version versus PR, or like a tagged version versus the next tag version.
Yeah, maybe a graph so you could see over time if there's, just small deltas trending upward or.
I think there'll be a new issue for this one. I don't know if it's related to that one, but we can just leave a comment here. It'll be that one.
Okay. Instead of running load tests, we can compare periodic runs of
Benchmarks, yeah.
but it still requires us to set up the periodic jobs though.
Right.
Oh, wait, periodic. I thought we were just, Sartesh's thing was we're running the performance test every time already.
Yeah, so there's like a few different ones. A PR test that compares to the
okay, PR. Okay,
branch,
gotcha.
right? And something between branches too. I guess the PR test might cover that. Yeah.
Like that.
Between PR and the main branch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can have like a bot comment on the PR, it's kind of like a code cutting that says like, hey, the delta is, I don't know, 2%, whatever.
Okay. Let me update the. Sorry, you're watching me type. So I think we should just update this, right? Show benchmark delta for each PR, right? Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Should we have, do I have volunteers on the call?
Does anyone have any familiarity with this stuff that knows right away sort of the tools to hook into for reporting here?
I'm familiar. I did it on the load test. Feel free to send to me.
Similar to the code cov stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be fancy like that, but yeah, close enough.
All right, let me just assign it to you then.
Yeah.
Or maybe Ernest.
Yeah, send to me, and then we'll see.
Okay, cool.
If Ernest has time, I can.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, then you can just pass it to him. Cool. Yes, one issue down. All right. Oh no, this one.
Fail closed.
Uh-oh.
Oh, why did I do that? Okay. Let's see.
I need to be able to exclude resources from webhooks in order.
2019, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we sort of have this in the doc as far as like explaining what it means if you have fail close, right?
yeah, I think gatekeeper wise, we have all of what we can do for fail close, right? We can run in disparate pods, we can report the status of enforcement across those pods so you can reason about whether a policy is actually enforced. The cited issue for the Kubernetes thing, if I remember right, was that there's certain like critical resources. You can imagine nodes, certain config maps that are used for leader elections, so on, where if you have the vanilla webhook configuration and you fail close, it's fine until gatekeeper goes down, right? And then the leader elections fail and Kubernetes could lose the ability to self-heal. And the way around that is to write the webhook configuration in such a way that these resources are not in scope for being called on the webhook. And there's sort of two problems with that. One is a quicker one is an expressivity problem, right? Like currently gatekeeper just the webhook looks at everything, and it would be nice because we're looking at everything. That means you don't need to worry about if you add a new CRD or whatever. It's still subject to the webhook. But Kubernetes has no way of saying this webhook covers all resources except blah, 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 right? And so that was one thing that was, it's an issue, I don't think it's a blocking issue for us to say we support fail closed. It does like put it on the customer. Then if they want fail closed to like carefully configure their webhook to list all resources they want covered and resources and exclude resources that they don't. The other, I think, more challenging one, and this is again a Kubernetes level thing, is that K8s webhooks are very coarse-grained in their exceptions, right? You can exclude by kind, you can exclude by namespace, or the finest grained you could exclude by label. Label is risky, however, because labels aren't ACLed, right? So someone could just throw an exclusion label on a resource and bypass policy. So that means that when you have something, some common resource like a config map that isn't critical for K8s functionality, except for a few specific config maps, unless they are all in known namespaces, you wouldn't be able to exclude those. So that's again, that's a Kubernetes thing. I think we can support fail closed within the bounds of what people are comfortable with, if people are comfortable with the webhook failing closed just generally. So I don't know if we want to call that done or not, if we want to leave this bug open just so that we have a note that, yes, we're interested still in.
I mean,
K8s
we haven't solved this per the original requirement. That is still very much the case. And so
yeah, so the one problem with fail closed is it's kind of become an advertising term in a way, right? Caverno's saying, hey, we fail closed. And basically what they mean there is they support validating webhook configurations with fail closed, which is a lower bar than what we're defining fail closed as. I in my opinion. So I think it's also a question of, is this issue, and I don't think it has been to date, but is this issue something that people are going to use as a point of comparison? And if so, maybe we need to redefine what we mean so that it's more apples to apples.
Okay. I mean, I still think I just want to add this, right? We added this to explain the risks and benefits, right? We may need to redefine, I can't type. As compared to other solutions.
Yeah, like if people are adopting a certain meaning of fail closed and we're adopting a stricter meaning, we're not doing ourselves any favors. At which point I would probably just like find a new term for this, right? Seamless fail closed, I don't know. Because it's still interesting, it's still valuable, but we don't want to.
It would, when after this call, I guess, like if you have time, if you can link to where Kyverno defines it, just to keep it in the same thread,
Yeah.
would be helpful.
Their graduation doc, they mention it, and there's lots of discussion around.
Okay.
I sort of push them on their definition in there.
Okay. Yeah, if you could link to it, that would be helpful.
In this bug.
Yeah, in this issue, so that when in the future when we come back to it, we.
Okay, let me make sure I have the link.
So should we call this redefine fail closed?
Let's just leave it as fail closed for now, and see what we want. I don't know. I'm getting some ambivalence, I think, around.
I guess it's hard to, like, to your point, right? We can't close this, but there's no concrete next step for this, or you know, where
Other
maybe
than just being generally annoying to Kate's people, so that maybe that syntax comes around. I mean, there's the cell cap, right? I wonder. It's not like directly on point, but maybe there's enough overlap to where something
Okay.
good will come out of that. I don't know.
Sure. Okay. Is there anything else we want to add to this issue? I guess in the future, one thing we could do is, like, whenever we see any movement in Kubernetes upstream, we should definitely add to this issue just to track the progress of it.
Yeah. If they
Okay.
get exclusions, I would be very happy.
Mm.
Good.
Yeah. Is everybody okay if we move to the next item? Okay. I think that's this one.
This might have been fixed.
No, stop. Oh, this is pretty old. So should we just close it?
I can try to repro. It seems like I already put instructions on it. I don't even remember this. And I can close it if I can repro quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's when is this from?
2020.
September 2020. So well back.
It's almost certainly fixed, but yeah, let's try to repro it just to double check.
Oh, I was going to say, can you paste the thing? You did.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you. Not lead.
Already.
Okay, can you tag me too?
Oh, I mean, you'll definitely get the.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because
I made a note of it. I'll. Thank you.
Okay. We have maybe time for one more.
Okay, so they want a field selector, it looks like, for syncing. Or namespace / label selector. The
Excuse me to interrupt. I'm just I joined like a few minutes ago. How does this work?
this being the meeting?
Yeah. Yeah, because when I can ask a question or all sorts of stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Well, let's finish the triage. This is the last issue we're looking at, and then I think we have time for questions, right, Rita? You have one issue. I don't know how long.
So usually we start with reviewing issues first, triaging for like the first 30 minutes, and then we go through the agenda. So if you have questions or anything, please add to this document. Does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay, I just pasted in the chat as well. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, the one thing with selectors for syncing is we would need to have the ability to iterate over cache data. If we, well, okay, so I'm maybe speaking out of turn because we're already in this mess where if the criteria for what needs to be synced changes, we need to wipe the data cache and resync everything, because there's no way to know if there's a bit of cache data that's no longer relevant, right? And to prune that.
Mhm.
Right now, I think we're only able to filter based off of namespace, which is fine enough because that, I think, means that the namespace object, right? Only if you change the config object will you potentially trigger this resyncing. Something like a namespace label selector or a namespace selector, right, would be somewhat dangerous because every time then you changed labels on a namespace, that wipe and recache behavior would need to take effect, which would be far too frequent and out of, I think, admin's control at that point. Something like selecting against data on the resource itself, though.
I mean, I just want to raise one point, like, this issue was raised in 2020, and I don't think we have seen more people asking for this, right?
That's fair.
One of the goals of asking people to create issues is also to get a sense of how many people want something. Given that this is relatively difficult to do, and also only one person asked for it, do you think it's okay to close it? Or we could leave it open, but I mean, the goal out of this triaging is to close issues, like to actually review them and do something about it, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm fine with closing it. The one thing where it would get really useful is if someone wanted to, like, they had a large config map that they wanted to exempt, but otherwise sync config maps. I don't know, would people necessarily connect that problem to this issue? But I'm also not seeing a lot of like complaints about, hey, I'm ooming if I do this, and if I don't do this, I can't have the policy.
I haven't seen, or I haven't seen requests related to this.
Yeah. So
How about others?
I mean, this is the only one that I know of.
Okay.
So yeah, if other people are fine with closing, I won't argue.
So how do we, what do we normally say when we close issues that have not had a lot of traction? Or
We could just say it looks like, there's been no follow-up here, but feel free to reopen if this is a salient thing, right? So that people know we're not saying no, we're just looking for more interest here.
Usually on issues you can say due to inactivity.
okay.
I mean, there's also bots that close issues automatically after 30, 90 days of inactivity.
Yeah, we talked about that. We thought that wasn't very nice. So instead we're doing this manually. I don't know.
Isn't this supposed to be an automation world?
We can revisit. I like where you're going with this. We can definitely revisit this. But sometimes the issue with the bot closing is sometimes there are legitimate issues, and in which case we'll require you to go manually in there and tell the bot don't touch it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, good feedback though.
I mean, I don't know, looking 2 years backwards, it's kind of you can put a 1 year due to inactivity thing.
Okay. Well, let's add this to our agenda. And speaking of, we're at time. So let's what is it? Revisit bot to close inactive issues. All right. And PRs. Okay. Looks like I asked about this. Let's see. I think there was a question about, oh yeah, migrating the API to v3, right? Or the
Oh,
package.
the Golang code so that it's
Mhm.
Go mod importable.
That's
I
right.
think we'll need to change every reference for this.
Yeah, I wonder if there's an automated tool to do that. You'd think it wouldn't be hard to write
Find and
some-
replace.
Right,
Oh.
but something more intelligent, right? That
And when you say dependency, breaking dependencies, do you mean things that are currently referencing Gatekeeper?
yeah. So there are ways of getting around this, and still vendoring in Gatekeeper, but they're very hacky, right? You're at that point. It's if you remember the old like vendoring in K8s with GoMod, you had to do like a lot of rewriting of imports essentially until they did this thing where every K8s is v0.x.x.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that. So what do we think? And this person actually created a PR for this? Yeah.
Oh.
This is a PR, not an issue.
Oh wait, I think they
Clarity?
said later on they had issues with that PR though.
Sorry?
I think they said later on in the bug they had issues with that PR.
This
So-
is not the entire thing. They just changed one line. This is like would affect like almost every line in Gatekeeper. I mean all the files.
Yeah, I mean they tried to rename the module only, but not move the files.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Like this would touch almost all the files in Gatekeeper.
Yeah, so I mean, do we want to go with v0.3 dot blah blah blah, or do we want to rename our directory structure? v0.3 is like definitely the easier thing to do, I'd say.
The
and it's
0.3.
here
Yeah, that
with-
doesn't look good though.
It looks just as good as K8s.
But I think it's the K8s version is different. Like the public version is different than the I guess like the internal library version.
Well, but that's what we would do,
It's the
right?
same.
We would
Yeah,
say-
I guess you
Yeah.
could do the same thing. Yeah.
Sounds like we have one proposal. Anyone against that? I don't really. That's why I asked, like, what would be the work here, right? Like,
I mean, is this like that much of a concern? It's just like the go get thing. Like I don't think anybody's like depending on Gatekeeper for a project. This is just the Gator install.
In a world where people are using the constraint framework, right, and they want to use the Kubernetes target that Gatekeeper has, vendoring in the ability to vendor in Gatekeeper to get that target code would be helpful.
I'm okay with 0.3.
Yeah, I think if the public version is 3 point something, and then the library version is 0.3, that's fine.
Okay.
It's such an arbitrary like thing though. Like, why is 0.okay?
Because Semver, they take Semver very literally, and they say if you have a breaking change, you must create a new file path so that people don't import stuff that has breaking changes in it.
Sure.
And V0 and V1 don't need the prefix because they're presumed V0 is all like beta and can have breaking changes. V1 is the first release.
All right. Any objections to this? Should we create an issue for this then? Like close this PR and open a new issue, I guess, and maybe ask this person if they want to help with this.
Yeah, I think that sounds good too.
Okay.
Do we just need a new GitHub tag essentially? This is just a tweak to our release process.
Yeah, I mean, if it's touching the release process, that's like a more work.
Oh, it's just we need to double label a branch or whatever we're doing.
I see. So we would cut 2 tags.
Exactly.
So one 0.3 dot something and 0.3 dot 3 point something.
Exactly.
Wait, sorry, say that one more time. 2 tags.
So the right now when we cut a release, we have the GitHub
Yeah.
tag of
Yeah.
we would have an additional tag that's v0.3.
Oh, okay. So one for the binary, one for the Go dependency.
Right, pointing at the same code.
Makes sense. Okay. Cool. I can follow up by opening an issue for this. Okay. So, and I will go ahead and close this. Closing this PR in favor of. Actually, I should have just done it here. Okay. Anything else? If not, let's move on to the next agenda item.
This is the thing. No, wait, you have another one.
Oh,
Two.
yes. Okay. Sorry, we'll get to you very, very soon.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. Add periodic test first. Okay. Yes. I believe this one came out of someone in the
like they wanted to know
the community. Yeah, wanted to. It's not what I wanted. Why can't I find what I want? Okay. Anyway, in the community repo, someone asked about like, what is your support matrix? And from that conversation, I don't think today we currently have any tests that actually tests across all the Kubernetes releases against all the supported gatekeeper versions. So the thought with this is, again, this is something that Kubernetes does, right? Like a periodic job that actually tests against all the supported versions. That way we get signal when a new Kubernetes release breaks something.
And so we do the testing, the gatekeeper testing in library, but we don't test against all versions of Kubernetes. I mean, all supported versions of Kubernetes. And then in the gatekeeper, we test all supported versions of Kubernetes, but only for the main branch.
I think in the documentation you also stated you support up to 2 minor. I don't know. I think I saw something like that.
Yeah, I also changed I have an open PR for rewording the documentation. I think we initially said n-4 because of like the LTS discussions at this time, but it could be n-4 or n-3 depending on the window.
Yeah. Any opinions about this?
So this will be like a cron job that runs, I don't know, every week, day, whatever. And tests the supported versions of Kubernetes against supported versions of Gatekeeper. I think the original question was, is like an older version of Kubernetes supports the future, older version of Gatekeeper support future versions of Kubernetes.
Mm.
So in my PR, yeah, these are all like, yeah, this is the one that's changing. Yeah, okay. So you commented. So it's say if a new version of Kubernetes is released, then all versions of supported Gatekeeper versions are assumed to be compatible with that version. Because we'll patch it to make sure that it's compatible. But if it's out of support versions of Gatekeeper, like 3.6 in this case, it won't be assumed compatible with the future version of Kubernetes.
Sorry, my internet cut out.
Oh. Which part did you?
Basically, all the I don't need to see the demonstration, but like, what's the
ask here, right?
Yeah, how far back in Gatekeeper versions are we going? How far back in?
I mean,
K8s
I mean, I can give an example of the Kubernetes dashboard. Like Kubernetes says, like they have on each release, they have like a compatibility window that they say we support the new release of 1.24. All of the other releases, due to breaking changes between Kubernetes API, some features are not working. I mean, that's like Kubernetes themselves says that.
Right. I guess the reason why we added this issue is given that we have this supportive support matrix, right? That we have in the docs. Ideally, we will be testing this periodically to catch issues. And the proposal is at least, test against the versions that we say we're supporting against the versions that we have released for Gatekeeper.
And what versions do we say we're supporting for K8s? Is it just back?
It's basically whatever is in this, which funny enough is not like a formula. Of course not.
Window moves, sometimes n-4, sometimes n-3.
So as you can see, currently it's these 4, right? But 121 could fall off. So at that moment, it will be 3. And then as soon as 125 is added, then it will be 4 again. So it's somewhere between n-3 and n-4.
So we're taking it off of what Kubernetes says.
That's right.
People should
I think that makes sense. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I sent an example of the Kubernetes dashboard looks in the chat. You can
cool.
Scroll down and you can see how it looks in the release notes. See the compatibility? Fully supported and due to breaking changes. That's how they do it each release.
I mean, we could do this for Gatekeeper release. However, it's the moving window, right? After we release, say, 3.9 in Gatekeeper, 125 is released as an example, right? It doesn't mean 125 isn't supported because it was added after the release was cut. Does that make sense?
I mean, it's supposed, the question is, does 1.25 has breaking changes in the API? Because if 1.25 has breaking changes, then the Gatekeeper doesn't fully support it. So you need to, you do need to release another release specifically for 1.25 that is fully functional.
Sure, but what if it just works?
If it just works, you just say it also works. You just edit
we
the
come
release.
Back here and add it. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I like that. But so coming back to the ask here, like, do we want to add these tests, I guess? I think Max is out again.
Yeah, I think with the periodic tests, the concern is like who's going to look at them, because it's not if it's not a PR gate, they're just going to run in GitHub Actions and then it'll be like invisible.
Okay, I don't know if we can finish this one. So how about we can continue discussing this in the next
It's being recorded.
oh, I want to make sure we talk about this one. Is that okay? Is that okay, everybody?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Hey.
So this is actually my issues. I have been trying to install Gatekeeper on OpenShift for the past 2 days. Max is cut off.
Yeah, Max is having internet problems.
So I've been trying to install like Gatekeeper on OpenShift via the operator hub, via the YAML itself, and via Helm chart. And for all these like ways, I encountered issues. The operator hub is just too old. I mean, it doesn't have like the features like exempt namespaces by asterisk because it's only from version 3.60, and you only support it from 3.60, if I'm not mistaken.
It is also we don't like work on the operator. So Thomas's team in Red Hat works on the operator, so that the Gatekeeper maintainers don't work on operator. So the operator is a completely separate project.
Oh, okay. So okay. So I'll talk to them if needed. I have issues with the Helm chart, and do you work on this?
Yeah, if it's on the Gatekeeper repo, yeah. But if it's operator, then it's the folks on Red Hat.
So there is this feature that I saw you add on the new release. You can add more how do you call it? API groups. Yeah, this one, adding possibility to define extra role rules. So basically you did it for one service account, but there are like 3 more service accounts to do it. So I just added it to this one, as you can see.
Yeah.
There's the namespace post install. The main issue I have with the Helm chart now is that the basic values YAML configure the SCC runtime default. When you removed it from the values YAML and trying to install it, it is added by default. So it's not really removed, and it causes issues on OpenShift environments. Since in the docs you say you don't really need it, it causes issues installing, and I'm not the only one who had this issue. In the issues itself, you can see that the same person has this issue. I can send it as well. So this is another one. The issue is that unless you put null in the values.yaml in the section, the annotations are still happening. But if I want to put like, I don't know, Prometheus scraped metrics or something like that, I can't do it because it collides with the null. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's outside of these two, right? That's a different problem.
Yeah, it's a different problem that in the docs you specify that when you work on a cloud vendor or specific vendor like OpenShift, you can add an SEC. For me, adding the SEC wasn't working, so I just removed the runtime default annotation. But again, the chart doesn't work because if you go down, you can see you have a section that's this one. Because it's defaulted, Helm adds it anyway. So that's the issue here. Unless you put null, it will not work. But it I can't add more annotations that I want, like the script matrix of Prometheus. So what I was thinking is maybe put. I mean, I tried to do it in my environment. I put a key that says if it's an OpenShift environment, if it's an OpenShift environment, take pod annotations. If not pod annotations, and if it's not an OpenShift, if it's an OpenShift environment, take another key.
I think what you can do is maybe update the README just so that, you know, you can say, add a comment like for OpenShift, maybe like set
No, you
it to
can't.
null or something.
Yeah, but I can put null, but the problem is if I want to add another annotation like Prometheus to scrape that pod, I can't do it because I can't put it limits me.
Sorry, my internet's a bit spotty, so I missed the part where what happens if the value of pod imitations or pod annotations instead of null, instead of container set comp, blah, 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 you put the Prometheus annotation only.
So what happens, the Helm chart is like, it's merging those two values. It says this is a default one that they templated it, and this is what he has. I'm merging them. So it adds them anyway. Unless you put null, it adds this as a default value.
That's kind of weird though. Shouldn't it
Yeah.
override it?
Because this is the
I-
default value. If you replace this default, it shouldn't appear.
It appears I had this issue in another chart, and this is the issue. And I saw that I'm not the
Okay.
only one that had this issue.
It's so charts, gatekeeper, templates. This is on any pod, or is this specific?
It's on the deployments that use the pod annotation, which is the controller audit and the controller itself. The audit and the controller.
Got you.
So you just replace this with the OpenShift one, right? Like you replace this with the OpenShift one?
No, I mean this one will be for Kubernetes because, like in the docs of the specific vendors, which is here.
So
you just say in the I just sent it on the chat. You just say you can just remove it because it gives a limited amount of.
So I looked in the chart source code. I linked in chat the 2 lines where it looks at the annotations, and it doesn't look like we're trying to do any kind of fallback ourselves.
No, it just uses whatever the values gives you, right?
And if you put like another thing, it just takes your thing, the thing you templated it, and just combines it. And it's a Helm thing, but when it's how you template the Helm and how you close it and how you install it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that might be a Helm bug because it's supposed to replace it.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's a known issue for Helm, but I don't think they're gonna fix it anytime soon.
So sorry, I think we're now catching up on the fact that it's not something we're doing with our charts, but it's
No,
that
it's not something you're doing with chart, but maybe you can change how the chart works.
So and so the known issue for Helm, how are Helm charts bypassing this behavior?
They just don't put a default value when they close the template.
But I think we'll need a default value there. Otherwise, we'll get flagged because we are missing the seccomp annotation.
Only on the Kubernetes environment, you need this one. On OpenShift, you specifically said you don't need it.
Right. But we also run on Kubernetes.
No, yeah, but what I said you can do, I also tried it, just do a key. I can also contribute and you can see it after. Just put a key that says, is it an OpenShift environment? If so, I'll add, I'll use other annotations, not pod annotations.
So
You understand what I'm going to?
I personally, I don't quite understand yet. So we have this Helm behavior where if pod annotations is empty, this gets injected anyway because of Helm.
Yes.
And apparently also, if it's not empty, but all we have is like a Prometheus annotation, it will still inject the runtime / default
Yes.
annotation. So
I mean,
so
I looked at other charts that other providers add. They don't put a default value to annotation, but since it's a must on Kubernetes, but not a must on OpenShift.
right. So, but sorry, where I'm starting to get confused is if you were to put just let's pretend you're putting just the Prometheus annotation in our values thing for our chart. Our generated YAML, barring Helm's interference, would just have that Prometheus annotation. And then somehow Helm is saying, oh, let me fix that for you and adding this runtime default thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like. So my question is, what is it that we do to the rendered YAML as rendered by our chart that causes Helm to not help us out in that way?
When you do Helm template, I don't know, you do it via this ACD. When you close it and in the values.yaml itself, it states that option. It says that the annotation are not closed. Like you can try to do Helm install and do not add it. And you can see for yourself it's adding, but if you to fetch the Helm package and just try to install it with locally, it will work.
I think one thing we can try is put a if there's value here at, between around annotations, so that if there's nothing passed in, then this whole thing shouldn't even
It doesn't matter because there still is a value.
So what does closing it mean? That's where I think I'm getting lost here.
I mean, I think of putting pod annotation specifically for OpenShift and pod annotation specifically for
so pod annotations is just a variable name, right? Like it sounds like, and maybe I'm wrong here, but like my intuition is that Helm, right, renders out this chart using the values that we have. And then once the chart is rendered, does this injection. So I'm wondering what the instruction is that we give to Helm that
I mean, I can do something like
I think I think we can take this offline and because we're at time anyway. Like you see here, right? There's if and else. Like we should utilize that. That's how Helm does.
I mean, you can do something like this. I've sent in the chat.
If values OpenShift 2 YAMLs, OpenShift.
How do you know if it's OpenShift?
You just put a key
it's a new
at
value.
the end. It's a new key. You put a new key for OpenShift.
It's not automatic, but it's like somebody manually says say OpenShift true.
Yeah.
I'm confused as to why this works. Like, does it actually work for you? Is you've tried this and it fixes things?
Not yet. I want to. I just but it should work. I mean, it just uses the pod annotations.
Tangentially related though, the seccomp thing is going to be going away. It's I think deprecated since 19. We need to move to seccomp profile anyway. So we might just want to remove this and then move to the seccomp profile.
Because pod security policy is going away.
Yeah, I think it's part of that. I'm not sure if it's related to that. But yeah, so it's going to be non-functional in 1.25.
Yeah, that's another issue.
So that might also solve this problem. So we can just leave the pod annotation as empty by default, and then instead you add seccomp profile.
I can help if you want, but again.
Oh yeah, Rita has it, the seccomp profile field instead.
Yeah. I don't know how seccomp works. I'm still at 1.21.
Well, and let us know if this OpenShift thing actually works for you too. And I guess if it's not too much effort, send a PR and we can like continue this discussion there.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I
Yeah,
I already made it in the code, so I just saw the generated manifests.
Yeah,
Like-
but you'll definitely need to verify on your end that it works, because I don't know if we have access to an OpenShift cluster to.
It doesn't need to be an OpenShift cluster just to put yes, no, and see how the annotation works.
Yeah, like you generate the template and see if based on the value you put in the values YAML.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just. What's
Again, I
weird-
don't understand why we can't use if. Like that's what these templates are for.
Because they still will take the default value that you close the Helm with. It still takes it when you close the chart and it's in your chart repo, it has that value as a default one. So it still has a value. It's always true unless it's false.
Oh, is it?
Unless it's always true unless it's null.
So
Yeah.
Helm isn't automatically doing this like runtime default annotation. It's doing the annotations that are in our default.
You either, so the way Helm works is you either pass in the values that you want to replace in the command line, or you create a new values YAML and override the default. Like that's how it works, right?
Yeah, but when you close the chart and when you template the chart and it has a value default and it's a list or something like that, it works differently. Because this is a map. This is not a one item. This is not like image or something like that. It's a map of items. I had this with another product that I used. And I also changed it at their end.
I mean, it's
did
the same thing
as
as like affinity, right? It's the same thing. Yeah. So
but because you need that,
it's the same thing as node selector.
Yeah, but because you need this annotation for gatekeeper to work, it's a must-have on Kubernetes environments, but not OpenShift.
Yes, because you have to override it.
Yes.
And you should override it, is the point, right?
Yeah, I was going crazy today.
I guess like if you could help us understand how you're overriding it, like this was the only thing that was provided. It says my values YAML has the default removed by setting it to this. I've even tried.
Yeah, and at the end, what he got at the template, he got container seccomp and his arbitrary one, as you can see.
Okay.
So I just found someone from Helm told me from the Helm Slack told me put it null, and yeah, it works, but I want more annotations.
Okay.
How are you using did you try using the set one when you're installing the Helm, or did you try it separate like values?
Well, the set one doesn't really work as it has like I couldn't try to put a map when you put -set the set flag.
Yeah, that's another thing that we can see, but sounds like you're replacing the values when you tried it, right? Like gatekeeper platform OpenShift. I mean, in that case, where is it pulling the default one? That's what I'm a little confused about.
When you from the remote, because it's a remote chart. When I install Helm install, I provide him the repository store slash.
And you tried with the F-F, right?
Yeah.
I see. Okay, let's take this offline and then see if we can get to a conclusion. And we can also replace just the sec comp anyway, because we need to replace it in the future.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll just make a PR and we could talk about it there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.